Hey there, it's Derek here from Pacific Coast Auto in Japan, and today we're looking at a 1994 Land Cruiser Prado. This one here with a small lift, has slightly larger tires, gives the vehicle a nice aggressive look. The vehicle is going to be going over to the USA. It's been color changed to white, but very well done, and you'll see that as we go around the car. And I just walked into another Land Cruiser. Today is Land Cruiser Day. Hilux Surf, Land Cruiser, Land Cruiser, Land Cruiser, and in the back corner, one more red one. Okay, so this one, 194,000 kilometers. I'm liking the condition of this. It's very nice. And oftentimes these color change ones, you have to be a little bit wary of. There's like a whole bedroom industry for companies to buy really crummy condition Land Cruisers, put on some cheap paint, and then sell them for huge markups. If you've seen Flex Auto, a number of theirs are sold for insanely high prices, and their paintwork that I've seen hasn't been very high quality. This one, on the other hand, we got a little bit lucky because the paint job was done very well. If you take a look at things like all of the window gasket parts were taken off, the rear windows were taken off because it's all changed to the correct color underneath that. Of course, inside all of the doors and the jambs, the doors have come off in order to repaint them. This goes all the way around, including underneath these pieces of trim. The interior pieces of trim were taken off. Like if you peel this back, it's all white underneath there. And so good to see. They also, I guess, put some effort into making sure it's not super wavy. In my opinion, paint jobs here in Japan are not done very well. This one was done well. And so I'm happy. And these look great in a full white like this. They stand out more than most other colors. This one was originally a green, which is a navy green. It looks fine. But, does it ever look good in white? Now, the engine is the 1KZ turbo diesel engine. These are great engines. If you haven't had a chance to drive one, I highly recommend it. Timing belt has been changed twice, once at 170 in 2017, and this one here unfortunately has peeled away for the area that you would write on it, so I don't know. The engine room is still the original color. Taking an engine out just to paint the engine room is a lot of work for very little payoff, but the fenders here, like the hood has been removed to paint it, so it's all perfect. Even, don't want to break that, but even underneath this has all been painted. And then here you can see the cut line between the two, and this piece of rubber had been taken off to repaint. And there's no little bits of white on the edge of the windshield, which you sometimes get if people improperly tape it. So happy with that. The coolant is looking good. The oil is looking like diesel oil typically does. It looks black even when it's in good condition, but probably a good idea to get that changed. This one comes with the dual batteries, and the batteries work fine, but there are a number of marks on the terminals. So it looked like potentially the batteries at some time were a little on the weak side and had to be jump-started a number of times. The liner here looks like the original one. It has some rips in it and a little bit of discoloration here and there. Close this off. Oh, and the front rubber is sagging down. See that? Oh. Let's try that again. Okay. So, great looking, great running. These things, reliability isn't really an issue with these, although they sometimes have some minor issues. It's a very simple type of vehicle, and parts are readily available. So, they're nothing that I would be too concerned about, especially compared to a G-Wagon. I like these so much more than I like the G-Wagon. It's not even funny. I haven't driven the new one that I guess came out like 4 years ago. But the older ones are just like, not good, in my opinion. Okay, so here's the auction inspection sheet. I'm going to quickly translate this. It's really dark inside here because of the tinted windows. I know it doesn't look that tinted, but it leads to a dark interior. So it's a 1994 Land Cruiser Prado SX wide four-wheel drive, 3000cc turbo diesel engine, auction rate 3.5, interior C. That seems about right, but I think it's a good 3.5 C. 194, 472 kilometers, automatic transmission, comes with a sunroof right there. power steering, power windows, and color change from green to white. The sales points say aftermarket wheels. They're 15 on a 35-inch tire. And so good tire size, going to be really capable and gives the car more of a large look. See, we got a black one over there, right? So have a look at that. And then have a look at this. I know it's not the exact same thing because the zoom is at a different amount, but it does look a lot like a much bigger and more robust truck with the lift and the bigger tires. Okay, 8-seater aftermarket steering wheel. It's a wooden steering wheel, lifted up. I believe it's just a small lift, like a 2-inch suspension lift or something. I don't think that there's any body lift. No, there's not. Maybe 3-inch suspension lift, and then the bigger tires to give it a little bit more. The report here says interior wear and dirty. Rear mount tire has been taken off, so there's no spare tire. And they've done smoothing, which is the Japanese word for, like, I don't even know the word, cut? There's usually bolt holes in here, and they fill the bolt holes with like fiberglass resin or Bondo or something like that, and then paint over it. I have forgotten the English word for that. Okay, maybe smoothing is the word. Maybe I've been away from Canada for too long. Okay, what else? Underside has some corrosion, and left center pillar lower section dented. And then fender, door, and hood have been replaced. And then A2 over here. U2 up here. And just minor body damages in other places. So I'm just going to leave this off to the windshield, and we'll take a look at these things. I'm going to show you the U2 first, because I didn't mention it in the video that comes along with this for the side panel and body. Like we have a detailed video for the body marks that comes along with it. The U2 is up here. So it looks like it probably had roof racks at some point and has bent that rain gutter. So the rain falls onto the roof and comes down into the rain gutter and then follows this down to here so that your rain isn't falling off the side of it. Yeah, you can kind of see it up there. It's a little bit bent. It does take away from the car a little bit, but not a lot. Okay, before we get into more of the body, let's do the once around here. I think the small wheels, like the 15-inch wheels, are a really nice look. In real life, it stands out more than on the camera. Shooting white vehicles, you never get the correct exposure. There's something called, what's the word for that? Dynamic range. And so the camera has to decide what that you can see with normal eyes. So imagine you're in a dark building and you go outside into the snow, and then everything is so bright that your eyes hurt, because your eyes do the dynamic range for you. But the camera's not as good as your eyes. And so if it's a white car, it's going to kind of darken everything down so you can see the detail in the white. But when you darken everything down, you can't see the detail in the black. And we've got a pretty good camera for getting a wider dynamic range. Nonetheless, it's not going to be like your eyes do. So in real life, you can see the details of those wheels more than you can on the camera, because it's like darkened down because of the white car. Okay. There we go. Let's look at some of the details of the body now. So we have some fade on this fender mirror. The purpose of the fender mirror is to kind of give you a look of right down here. This area here. When you're off-roading, it could be handy, or when you're parking, it can be handy, or it could be handy for a blind spot, especially if it was like, if this were lifted more, or if there was a motorcycle on this side, it might be harder to see out of the mirror. The mirrors in these are great though. They give you a lot of visibility, and you get a lot of windows here, so it's really easy to see out of the vehicle and maneuver this thing around the streets of Japan. And I think that's what makes it very special. A lot of these kind of SUV type vehicles, they can be a little hard to handle. But the 70 series, the flat sides and the sharp 90-degree corners gives you great visibility, great maneuverability, and the interior has the most amount of volume because you don't have to worry about the beauty of the exterior, so to speak, getting in the way of interior volume. You know, a cube or a brick shape is going to give you the maximum amount of volume that you can get inside. Okay, aftermarket tail lights here, and just coming down the side here, just trying to remind myself if there's anything to mention, this is an aftermarket piece. This gasket here is fine, but not all of them are. And you got some markers in here that are blue. Grill, lots of fade of the chrome in the grill, and this continues on to the marker surround as well. Aftermarket headlights, and the inside of these markers, the aftermarket markers, are in rough condition. There's some rust on these bolts, and a little bit of fade on this chrome. The hood's looking good. A little bit of paint wave, but not a lot. And the gasket here for the over fender has some cracks in it. You'll see this on a lot of these Land Cruisers. Also, this has been painted to white instead of body color and has some flex cracks there. The same thing goes on the one on the other side in the exact same location. You got a dent in the bottom step and some overspray. Also, this is rusted before and they sanded it down and repainted it, but you can still see the texture of the rust, the pitting and whatnot. Okay, missing a piece of the gasket here and here. And then the edge of the door, very common. You've got a number of chips, some of them touched up with touch-up paint, some of them not. A few scratches on the inside of the door handle, and the doors here, no problem at all. That one's a little stiff because it's not used very often. On the other side, although I couldn't find any damage to the lower section of the center pillar, this door doesn't open the same feeling. It's still not hard to open, but it feels a little different when you open it. Same thing goes for this one. Now have a look at this. And apparently there's supposed to be some sort of a damage here. The car does have like the fender and the door and the hood had been replaced, and likely those were replaced because they were hit a little bit. There's no marks from a repair, but that's not to say that it wasn't hit. So the R grade means repaired from an accident. In this case, no repair was necessary to the frame or for the main body frame. And so as such doesn't get an R grade, but sure, you can have a replaced door or a replaced fender without getting an R grade, which is what we have here. This is a grade 3.5. Okay, so body, good. Tires, these tires have plenty of tread on them. They're a 2020, and the wheels have been repainted with a spray paint, and it's chipping a little bit. And it's only repainted on the outside, not on the inside. To the interior now. These doors are not 50-50 in size. One of them is bigger than the other, which is a little odd. Usually a spare tire goes onto the back here, but here's something about the 70 series, and you don't get this with the 60 or the 80 series. The rear spare tire usually goes on the rear here, right? If you upgrade to bigger tires, you have no space to put it on here because the tire is going to extend past the door seam. And if it does that, you won't be able to open the door. And so plenty of these trucks that have oversized tires, you just will see no spare tire put onto it anymore. Which is fine if it's a big knobbly mud terrain tire because they're usually strong enough to withstand a lot of punishment without losing any air. So getting a flat tire is unlikely. Okay. So inside here has a little secret box, which is fun. You get 3 seats here, but they're more like kids' seats. Adults would struggle to stay in them for long trips. And then these ones are fine, 1, 2, 3 for adults. So basically it's a 5 plus 2. Inside here is fairly good. There's a little bit of a stain here. And underneath these seats, there's a little bit of a stain. I have a picture of that, but I put the seats in the down position for the video. Otherwise, they flip up to the side so that you can have a lot of room in here. With the seats down, you don't get a ton of room, but you can go like this if you want. And just fold these down super easily, and you can stack whatever you need to on top of that if you don't want to flip the seats up. Flipping the seats up can be done in about 2 minutes, so it's not too hard. Maybe less than that. If you're good at it, you can probably do it in about 30 seconds. So, the interior of the middle, I guess. Door cards are looking good. Like I said, a little bit dark in here. You got a stain on the carpet down here. This is the removable carpet, so you could replace that potentially. Or you could try to work out that stain, but it looks kind of oily. These can recline back a little bit more if you want. And then they're pretty good seats. 1, 2, 3. One person can sit in the hump here. They have no fold down pillow though. Headliner's taken a little bit of damage. Has some scratch marks there and up here. Interior doesn't smell bad. It's unlikely that it hasn't been smoked in. I'll just have a quick look at the ashtray. I can't remember. So yeah, it has been smoked in, but not recently by the look of it. And if a car's smoked in and then driven 6 or 8 years without being smoked in, a lot of that smell is just going to go away. Either the previous owner cleaned out the smell themselves, which is completely possible, or just over time it goes away. Has a little bit of sag on the driver's seat side bolster here, but no rips. And they're a decent seat. I like the feeling of this. I do feel like they're a little bit close to the pedals for my liking, but a lot of people like the upright seating position for cars. I'm just used to the more sports car-like seating position where the seat is closer to the ground and your feet are more straight. This is more like sitting in a chair. Steering wheel has some cracking up here, so it would need to be refinished. It's not huge, but you can feel it when you drive. And then these floor mats are not the original ones, and they unfortunately slide around because they don't have teeth on the bottom. So if it were me, I'd get these replaced because I find that a safety issue if that's sliding around. The car is 4-wheel drive, selectable. You can either do 4-wheel drive, 2-wheel drive, or you can manually lock the hubs on the front, which will give you locked front but still an open rear. So technically three-wheel drive. Don't know what this is. Illumination control, it says. I guess that's probably this LED strip that somebody put here. Okay, dashboard is no cracks in it, but has a glue mark here for where something used to be mounted. Has an aftermarket Navi screen. Cigarette lighter has been used. AC is good. I think this shift knob might come from a later model Land Cruiser. Also, the button is missing on it. It might be aftermarket, but it feels too high quality to be an aftermarket one. Then has a little bit of separation here. Generally pretty good. Needs a good cleaning, but nothing really damaged in here. Looking pretty good. Yeah. Oh, and glue marks right here. Okay, I think that we've seen the interior enough, so that's going to be the end of the video here. If you're interested in importing a car, of course, you can check out our website. If this is your car, congratulations on picking something at auction that was good for you. Looks good. Land Cruiser's just awesome. I love them so much. Okay, that's going to be all for this one. Thanks so much for watching, and have a nice day.